A simple couch says so much about a couple. Actually, where the couple sits on the couch, and more importantly, how they sit on the couch, really says a lot about a couple. I'm Dr. David Hawkins from the Marriage Recovery Center outside of Seattle, Washington, and I want to talk to you about attachment. You know, there are a lot of theories that talk about attachment, and we've studied a lot about attachment, and we should study about it because it's very, very important. God has designed us to be in relationship to, attached to one another. And yet that attachment has often been disrupted in childhood and then is disrupted even more in adult relationships. What we know is that there are three different kinds of attachment. I want you to think about this and think about where you and your mate are in regards to these three different kinds of attachment. The first one is secure attachment. This is wonderful. This is where you know that you can depend on and count on your mate. They are going to be there for you. They're accessible. They're available to you. And because of that, you feel a sense of calm. You're relaxed. You can bring up an issue to them and you know that they're going to hear you. They know you know you're going to be sensitive, be seen as a sensitive person, and they're going to treat you sensitively, and issues can be resolved effectively and quickly, and it's really wonderful. The second kind of attachment has more problems with it, and it's the anxious attachment. With the anxious attachment, we're not sure if our mate's really going to be there for us. Perhaps we've had trouble in childhood, and maybe we come into marriage with some brokenness. We reach out to our mate, and we're not sure that they're going to be there. Because of that, we become more anxious. We become more accusatory, more critical. We're just not sure. We don't know if they're going to be there for us. A couple came to the Marriage Recovery Center recently, and they were the epitome of the anxious attachment. Classically, she sat on one end of the couch, but she was leaning in, begging, screaming, being anxious, accusing, criticizing. She just wanted the heart of her mate. And guess what he did? Withdrew into silence, stoniness, stoicism. And of course, the more he withdrew, the more anxious she became. The more anxious she became, the more he withdrew, and they were caught up in a vicious cycle. It was terrible. That's the anxious attachment. The third kind is even more troublesome. The anxious avoidant attachment. In this kind of attachment, there really isn't much attachment because you've all but given up hope for even having your needs met. You're not sure your mate's going to be there for you. You've given up hope. You're discouraged. You're depressed. And yet I want to offer you hope. Give in to one another in love, graciously meeting each other's needs, bearing one another's burdens. We are to meet each other at your point of need, and that can happen. And what we did with this couple is we encouraged her to let go of criticism. Pretty tough to do, but she could do it. And we encouraged him to lean in and listen to her, actively listening for her heart, trying to understand what it was that she needed from him, and being emotionally available. And if he could do that, of course that would lessen her anxiety, and she would stop her grabbing and clutching and clinginess, and he would settle down and feel safer. And the more they did that, the more he leaned in. She stopped her anxious striving, and they started to have this healthy, secure attachment. It took a lot of work on their part. It took many hours here at the Marriage Recovery Center to work on this. But in the end, they left holding hands, him feeling settled and safe, not overwhelmed, her feeling calm, and with a sense that she could reach out and he would be there for her. So I want you to consider letting go of criticism and embracing encouragement. Speaking to the needs of your mate in a healthy, honest, open manner. Not scolding, not accusatory. Sharing from your heart, from your most vulnerable self. And you're going to be able to reach this place of secure attachment. And it's very exciting.